our Tuesday nights have been particularly different, and I don't really know why they've been different, because, I mean, pretty much everything is the same. But what I think is that you, the body, is different, and I want you all to celebrate this, that last Tuesday I was going to teach about Holy Spirit, and the Lord said to teach about tithe. And since the time that I taught, at least 3 people out of maybe the 20 or the 25 that were there, at least 3 people have either started paying their tithe or coming to confess that that was something that God was dealing with them for. Now that is a harvest. I really don't think you did it, because you want to be where the word is doing the work. You don't want to be where, well, you don't want to be the type of believer that something has to happen to you in order for you to get it. You want the word to come forth and find your heart good soil into the word, and that it rectifies your behavior. It regulates who you are. And because that is what the word is ordained to do. And if you are a believer, that when the word comes to your life and it produces change, then there is absolutely nothing that the enemy can keep from you. Now you can give God glory for that.
Amen. Amen.
Because your obedience opens the door and the pathway to what God has truly intended for us. And we've been talking about being believers who believe. Y'all looking at me like, okay, I'm doing my hair like this because I'm trying to let it grow so I can get it cut off, okay? Y'all feel better now? I'm not going to keep it like this forever.
We love it.
I just needed to do it to let my hair grow. And
I love it.
no, Larry does not like it. Because when I told Tamari, I sent her a picture, and she said, "What did Papa say?" I said, "He didn't say anything." She said, "Well, I don't like it." You see, what you don't know is some of you may be thinking that I look like the Queen, but what she said to me is, "No. Oh my God, you look so much like our mother." That kind of warmed my heart. So, okay, we passed the hair, y'all good? Daryl pulled up this morning, and he was like, he looked at me, he said, "Well, why didn't you say anything about where you were speaking?" And I'm like, I know he see I look different, because, you know, Daryl talks about everything. And he didn't say a word. That means he don't like it. I know. Listen, Hebrews the 11th chapter. And as it relates to the footage that you will see on Facebook, it wasn't that I went somewhere to speak and did not invite you all. It was that it was a television taping, and the host took a snippet of it and put it on there. But I wasn't allowed to invite people. You know that I love you all being there to support me. And that's the only reason that you weren't there, okay? So Hebrews the 11th chapter, 1 through, I believe, glasses over there. 1 through 7, and then we're going to go to Genesis.
Faith is the confidence that we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. Through their faith, the people in the days of old earned a good reputation. By faith, we understand that the entire universe was formed at God's command, that what we now see did not come from anything that can be seen. It was by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than Cain did. Abel's offering gave evidence that he was a righteous man, and God showed his approval of his gifts. Although Abel is long dead, he still speaks to us by his example of faith.
Read that one more time.
Faith is the confidence that we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. Through their faith, the people in the days of old earned a good reputation. By faith, we understand that the entire universe was formed at God's command, that we now see did not come from anything that can be seen. It was by faith that Abel brought a more acceptable offering to God than Cain did. Abel's offering gave evidence that he was a righteous man, and God showed his approval of his gifts. Although Abel is long dead, he still speaks to us by his example of faith. It was by faith that Enoch was taken up to heaven without dying. He disappeared because God took him. For before he was taken up, he was known as a person who pleased God. And it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him. It was by faith that Noah built a large boat to save his family from the flood. He obeyed God, who warned him about these things that had never happened before. By his faith, Noah condemned the rest of the world, and he received the righteousness that comes from faith. The righteousness that comes from faith.
Genesis 22, beginning at 1.
Sometime later, God tested Abraham's faith. Abraham, God called. Yes, he replied, here I am. Take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains, which I will show you. The next morning, Abraham got up early. He saddled his donkey and took 2 of his servants with him, along with his son Isaac. Then he chopped wood for a fire for a burnt offering and set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day of their journey, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. Stay here with the donkey, Abraham told the servants. The boy and I will travel a little farther. We will worship there, and then we will come right back. So Abraham placed the wood for the burnt offering on Isaac's shoulders, while he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the 2 of them walked on together, Isaac turned to Abraham and said, Father. Yes, my son, Abraham replied. We have the fire and the wood, the boy said, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering? God will provide a sheep for the burnt offering, my son, Abraham answered, and they both walked on together. When they arrived at the place where God had told him to go, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. Then he tied his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. And Abraham picked up the knife to kill his son as a sacrifice. At that moment, the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Yes, Abraham replied, here I am. Don't lay a hand on the boy, the angel said. Do not hurt him in any way, for now I know that you truly fear God. You have not withheld from me even your son, your only son. Then Abraham looked up and saw a ram caught by its horns in a thicket. So he took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering in the place of his son. Abraham named that place Yahweh Yahweh, which means the Lord will provide. To this day, people still use that name as a proverb. On this mountain of the Lord, it will be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called again to Abraham from heaven. This is what the Lord says. Because you have obeyed me and have not withheld even your son, your only son, I swear by my own name that I will certainly bless you. I will multiply your descendants beyond number, like the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will conquer the cities of their enemies. And though your descendants, all the nations of the earth will be blessed, all because you have obeyed me.
Give God glory for the reading of His word.
Amen.
Z, would you put verse 8 back up there? Now, I don't know about you, but hearing this, I kept in my spirit, I kept hearing about Abraham sacrificing Isaac and being called to do it. And it has ministered to me personally quite a bit as far as not being stuck in doing things my own way, being sensitive enough to hear the voice of God. But this time, when the Lord kept taking me to it and reminding me of it, He was saying that because of faith, because we've been told that Hebrews 11 is a definition of faith, and that's not true. Hebrews 11 is a description of faith. It tells you what faith does. and what it looked like. It gave you an example of faith. It's saying now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. It's telling you the nature of faith. It's not necessarily the definition of faith, and there is a difference. Because he's telling you that you've got to believe, have great confidence in something, be fully persuaded, be of absolute conviction so that it alters your behavior and determines what you will do. Hebrews 11 is saying when you have faith, your convictions equip you to do what other people can't do. When you have faith, you can wait on the Lord when other people can't wait on the Lord. It is telling you an example of when you wait on the Lord, you will do things that cause you to please God. You will end up being a vessel that when you are obeying God, it is counted to your righteousness, so that when your suddenly season comes, you don't have to wash your hands, you don't have to scrub your tongue, you don't have to pry your heart loose from what was holding it bondage, because you are walking in a conviction and a belief that makes you turn down a drink, that makes you tell the truth, even when telling a lie is easier and quicker and gonna make everything around you shut up. You, by faith, by conviction that the word is true and absolute, you do the right thing. So in this suddenly season, God is saying that those that have been tested, that when it was easier and your truth, your conviction of what actually is made you do what you didn't want to do because you did what he said do, that you were going to receive a reward, because he said that it would not only be counted to your righteousness, but then you would be found pleasing to God. And he said that he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. So when I read this, as many times as I've read it, I'm still in a place that when I obey, and because I obey, there are things that attack me that I have to ask God, help me in my unbelief. Because I did the right thing, but wrong things are still happening to me. So how can it be that I can believe that this is going to take me to a place that I am going to be vindicated or even feel better about the choice that I made? But I believe and understand that he said that Abel is dead, but because of his conviction, he gave a better offering that caused, even though he's dead, his name is still being pronounced because of his obedience. And God is saying to us, those of us that endured hardness as a good soldier, that stayed in the marriage when it was easier to leave, that kept your legs closed even when you wanted a man, that did not walk from God, that is going to be counted to your righteousness. Amen. So, the enemy has taken his time to build a case against God, to build a case against what we believe. He has done everything he could not possibly do, but he has worked his junk. He has done things that make you question if you got some sense. Is it worth it? Did I really hear you, God? Am I doing what you said do? But believe and know that it will be counted to your righteousness. So here it is that Abraham was given instruction by God. This blessed me. He was given instruction by God. So he knew that God was God. But check this out. He didn't even have the Holy Ghost.
That's right.
It had to come upon him. We got him inside of us. So we are empowered to overcome. All we have to do is submit and surrender to the things of God. And then God will lift up a standard for us against the enemy. But if we break agreement with him, it can be so. But if we come into agreement with that which the enemy is doing, God has to pry you loose from the things of darkness, and that hurts. So then you do suffer the consequences of your sin, because sin leads to death. So here it is. Abraham was told, get your son.
My.
Get your future.
Come on. Come on.
Get your future. Get what you've waited on.
Whoo, Jesus.
What you carried.
My God.
And nursed. And nurtured. You go get it and you bring it to me. Either you believe it belongs to me or you don't. So your convictions, what you believe is going to be tested. Will you shut up when you're supposed to shut up? Will you go up when you're supposed to go up? Will you give up when you're supposed to give up? Will you be an acceptable offering that's capable of giving an acceptable offering?
My.
So he told him, he said, get your son. Woo. Man, I have heard so much stuff prophetically for Justin Jackson since he's been here, because I think somebody trying to get him and against him, that we started calling for justice, that it exposed itself. So if God told me to surrender him, I'm trying to tell you, I done fought for this boy. We've driven all over the country for this boy. We believed in this boy. We've done all we know to do to be the best we could be. And you say, now kill him?
Yeah.
At least. I can't wrap my mind around you telling me to kill what you gave me. So now you telling me I can't even celebrate what you give me? So we're in a place that the promises of God are being tested in your life.
Yes.
The enemy wants to pry them loose from you. And the only way to keep them safe is to surrender them to God. So if God gave it to you, give it back to him. And if you can't give it back to him, if you have things, I heard something in a song that just, I like music, I'm a worshiper. And the psalmist was saying, God, there's no rival to you.
Come on.
There's nothing that rivals you. And I decree that over my life. I believe that. I want that to be my truth. Even when I fall short, I'm confessing that you are good. That's how I came into introduction to the King of my heart, because when I felt that he was not seeing about me, when I felt like he was overlooking me, I couldn't say what I couldn't see, but I could hear it imparted in me. So then I could start confessing, you are the King of my heart, so I'm going to go there. So you won't leave me. You won't let me down. You won't let me fall, because you are good. Oh, so good. You are good. So Abraham knew that God was good. So he took his son and he started on the way. And he had witnesses with him. But he said, now this is a private thing.
Come on.
Me and my future.
Come on.
I can't trust that you not going to stop me from giving up what I need to leave behind. Now, I know he said for my future to go with me and for me to sacrifice it. And how do you, guess what? There are theologians that believe he knew that there was going to be a ram in the bush. I like thicket, because that's what I've been seeing in my life. I've been seeing thicket. I've been seeing woods all around me. I've been seeing trees hanging down. I've been seeing things that I wanted to go forward, but it was obstructing my place of walk. So thicket means something to me. It's a thick place that I want to get through, but I just can't get through. My mind is telling me no. My spirit is telling me yes, but my mind is telling me no. And I want my mind to shut up. So when I'm in this thicket, I need to hear that you are good. Oh, so good. So here it is. That here he is, going up, taking his son And his son looks around. Just say future.
Future.
Taking your future. Taking your promise. Taking your future. Taking your promise. All that you got to hold on to. Because why live this life? Why say no to the Budweiser? Y'all still drink Budweiser? Don't tell me. Why say no to something that make you feel good and you ain't going to get to feel good? It's because of your conviction. It's because of what you believe. If you don't believe that his word is true, you can't do it. So your faith is something that separates you from somebody else. It equips you to do things that somebody else can't do. So his son looks at him and goes, I see the wood, I see the fire, but where is the sacrifice? Your future is looking at you going, why aren't you coming? Why? What is missing that it's not manifesting in your life? It's taunting you. Your present situation is taunting you. The choices that you make and have made are taunting you. Because did you do the right thing? Did you do the right thing? Was that really God? Because if it was God, he wouldn't lead me to a place of destruction and a place of disaster and a place of despair. We heard Minister Devonta said, oh my soul, why art thou so downcast? So when you're in that downcast place that you can't even trust the thoughts that you're thinking, and then God is saying, bring your future, and then your future is asking you a question, what we going to do, how we going to be, and what's the plan, Buster? Abraham prophesied. He's called those things that be not as though they already are. He didn't have permission from his future. He didn't ask his future any questions. The only thing that he said was, God will provide a sacrifice. And what the Lord is saying to us today, we've got to be of such firm conviction. Be on guard. Standing firm in your faith. Being bold and courageous. That you can obey God even when he's telling you to do something that nothing around you understands you. Everything around you is coughing you up. All I want is a little understanding. All I want is for you to say you get it, but nobody can see where you need to be because you've got to take that word to the altar. So read together. Abraham went.
God himself
will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. Then the two of them walked on together.
After he told him that God was going to do it, him in the promise, him in the future, kept moving. You get it? He did not know what God was going to do. In his mind, I never, as much as I knew this, I never allowed myself as a mother to believe that Abraham believed that he was going to kill his son. Because I heard it preached so in such heresy and such emotion. But it never said that he knew that God was going to give something instead of what he told him to do. All he knew is that he was told to sacrifice it. So what he was saying is, I bank my future.
Jesus. God.
Jesus.
On my future.
Jesus.
That God is my future.
Jesus.
And because he said it, if my baby die, if my son die, I won't be mad at God. I won't be bound. I won't be messed up. I won't have no mental breakdown because I lost what God told me to give. Because if he told me to give it, he provided it. So I'm good with that. And until we get to a place that you can sacrifice what God told you to give without breaking down? And now, don't misunderstand me, because I had to bring this up here, because when I was reading it, it was wrong. I saw it all wrapped around my head. Because I'm like, I ain't even got to say future. All I got to do is say son. Say, Shayla, go kill him, and me watch her die. I don't even want nobody to say nothing to her. How am I going to watch her die? At my hand? So imagine Abraham going up there in the mental anguish, in the mental bondage of the God he knew and the God he believed, for the God he was getting ready to be introduced to, and he didn't know what was going to be living after he met this new God.
My God.
Can you imagine? It didn't even say, it left it for you to understand what would you go through going up a mountain where you have to take step after step in surrounding thicket. So you can't see no way out. If you want to run, you see a branch catching you.
Right.
So here you are on your way up. And then you finally get there. You prepare the offering, which is your future. He had the knife raised, prepared to kill his future. And see, some of us, I'm using future because some of you want a husband so bad, you'll sleep with your boyfriend. Some of you want happiness so much, you'll drink so much that your children see you drunk, that you have given them permission to be you. All of the future, the things that you want is on the table. It's on the line. And you won't fight you to be what you're supposed to be. You'll be and say you're a good this and you're a good that until it's something that you want to do. And then you'll do it in front of whatever it is that God sees it. And then you can call upon the Lord and he will answer. But he is going to reward your faith that separated you to cause you not to do it. So here it is that he has the knife raised. And he's getting ready to kill his future promised, his son that God gave him. And then an angel calls his name. Some of you are asking God for something that if he called you by his name, by your name, would you recognize his name? You are right there where you asked God to be. But if he called you by your name, would you know that he was talking to you? That's where intimacy comes in. And guess what? That is one of the curses of this generation. Lack of intimacy. And what do I mean by intimacy? I don't mean petting and kissing and rubbing. I mean taking the time so that you know that when you see in my eyes, I'm broken, I didn't have to tell you I'm broken.
Amen.
That I can see not to say that to you because I'm offending the very thing that you've been fighting to be. So you know it, so why do I have to say it? I'm talking about that kind of intimacy.
Right. Yes.
I'm talking about an intimacy that when you walk into the room, I know you're not okay because I know you.
Right.
I'm talking about an intimacy, and see, that's why marriages are dying. Because without intimacy, that sweet covering, that sweet thing that women need, men may not need it. And that's why men don't understand. Now, I did such and such a thing, but you just threw it at me.
Come on.
Exactly.
I want to take it, I do, but there's a part in me that needs something from you that only you can give. So how can I accept it? Because if I take it from you, then I'm telling you I can be that for you. So I resist it from you, hoping that you'll see into me and know that I need something more from you that I can't go get anyplace else. Amen. It's the same thing with God. He wants you to be so close to him that when you look around, you can't get what you need from not your husband, not your brother, not your mama, not your sister, but you can only get it from God. And that's why we tear up our relationships, because nobody can be to you what God can be.
Right.
So Abraham had to have an intimate relationship with God. So much so that when the angel called him, he was capable of answering. And the word says that he told him, look in the bushes, look in the thicket, and there is a ram there that's caught for you. I want to prophesy to you that are willing to sacrifice the future you thought you knew and the future that you believed was yours for what God told you to do, that you are going to receive by way of an angelic, supernatural, we're not going to even limit it to angels, by way of a supernatural move of God, that he is going to give you what you need before you lose everything.
Amen.
You've got to come to terms. You've got to decide that God's word is absolute. You may not be absolutely sure that you can do everything that it says, but that doesn't mean that his word is not true. And that means that you're going to have to start shedding things that you know are between you and God. And the word says that when the ram was in the bush, Abraham declared, this place will be known as the place that God provided. It's called the defining moment. And God is getting ready to give you circumstances, not just things, circumstances that you can memorialize, so that you can put a flag in it, so that you can decree that it is over, it is done, it is finished. This is the place that God healed my marriage. This is the place that God took me from whoredom to a born-again virgin. This is the place that I'm not going to settle for what comes by way of my hand, because I'm going to release what comes through my hand. This is the place that God is entrusting to you, that you can proclaim your freedom, that you can declare, this devil I'll see no more. I used to be bound by this, but I am no more. And because of your faith, because of your firm conviction and belief in the truth that causes you to do things different and to be different, God's going to navigate you through this season in your life so that every promise will manifest. And if it does not, what you were supposed to get, what you will get will far exceed what was. But it is only yours if you believe it. You have to be sober and vigilant, on guard, paying attention, sensitive to the things of God, so that when he sees you, all men will be able to look on and know, man, how did she meet him? I ain't never even seen her with a man. Where'd he come from? It's all women in a church. Then they're going to want to ask you questions. Or it was so hard. You were so downtrodden. You went through so much that your countenance was down. And then all of a sudden, the joy of the Lord is your strength. And they want to know what happened to you. And that is the place that God is going to provide. Not just something for you to offer for sacrifice, but it is the place that your future becomes secure. And what God blesses, no man can curse. What all God ordains, it is so. After he named it the place that God provides, the angel came again and gave him instruction for what he was to do, where he was to go, for the blessing for eternity. So understand, I know that now the enemy is messing with you, trying to tell you that it's going to take longer than you want it to take. As long as you're doing what God says do, even if you look around and nothing else is speaking to what he told you to do, faith, now faith, and faith, but faith. But faith is the substance of things that are hoped for and the evidence of things that are not seen. If you have to see it to believe it, you don't trust it. Stop allowing what you know and what you knew to compete with where you're going. Father, we thank you for the anointing that will cause us to receive double for our trouble. I thank you, Lord God, that you knit us together in our mother's womb on purpose with promise. Not so that we are arrogant and entitled, but so that we are yielded believers who believe your word. That we can hear your voice, not only recognize it, but hear it and hide it in our hearts so that we don't sin against you. And we, your people, we declare over our life that we're just not hearers of your word, that we are doers of your word. And Lord, as your word comes forth, we believe that it's sharper than any two-edged sword. And it'll cut asunder, cut away every bondage. It'll cut away our unbelief, our doubt, and all of the things that restricted us. Your word will accomplish everything that you have sent forth for it to do within our lives and in our situation, in our homes, in our children, on our jobs. And Lord, we will begin to cry out to worship you in spirit and in truth. Forgive us for what we have made worship. Forgive us for thinking we could manipulate your spirit and focus on what you are not versus who you are. Because you are great, you are mighty, you are greater than, you can do all things. And because of that, we can do all things. So there is no bondage. There is no thought process. There is no circumstance that is not capable of bowing to the lordship of Jesus Christ. And it is only in our remembrance for the edification of others, not for us to memorialize what happened to us or how we got to where we're going. We will only memorialize what you have done, because you are a good Father and you are a great God. And Lord, I believe that because you said in your word that our sin can be thrown into the sea of forgetfulness, that we will forget it so that it is no longer a fresh wound, but it is a tool, not a weapon. Because all things, we are fully persuaded that everything that happened and everything that was, whether it was at your permission or not, whatever the case was, it is working together for our good now. And our faith in you will cause us to do what others can't, will cause us to be what some aren't willing to be. And we will wait on you and keep casting our cares on you, because you care for us. And we will confess that we are not alone, because your word says that we're not. We will confess that we are strong even when we are at our weakest place. We will confess that we are healed even when we are struggling in pain. Not because it is not so, but because we have faith and we choose to be believers that believe. And Lord, when we are attacked for believing, we thank you for raising a standard up against the enemy, and that you will arise and your enemies will be scattered. That you, the God of truth, will cause our freedom to be so and manifest here on earth. And Lord, every erected stronghold that is competing with its knowledge and understanding of who you are and what you have ordained to manifest here on earth, let your word shatter it and render it powerless. And I bind our minds to the mind of Christ. I bind our wills to the will of God. And I bind our feet to the paths of righteousness for your name's sake. And that we, your people, will be willing and obedient, eating the good of the land, being declared in the heavens as pleasing unto you. And we thank you, Lord God, that weeping endures for a night, but our joy is approaching to overtake and flood all darkness and proclaim that you are who you say you are. And I take authority over every spirit of mockery that has come to compete and to play games with the power of God. We call forth your power, God. We call forth your power, God. We call forth your power, God, that causes every knee to bow and every tongue to confess that you are Lord. And I speak directly to the spirit of robbery. You will not rob us of our future. As we yield to obey, we reclaim our time. We will not, because we have chosen to ignore the voice of a stranger, we will not be under the jurisdiction of robbery, that all of this is for our good, for our expected end, and it is going to manifest that the rest of our life is the best of our life. We won't waste time with conversations, with relationships, with thought process, with nothing that competes with you, because we surrender our future to you. In Jesus' name. And say, it is so.
It is so.
In the holy name